Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time! Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome, one and all. Yes, it is Monday, and that's okay. We've got to get it started at some point, but we'll get you through the week. Glad to have you along. Hope your day is going well. Hope your weekend went well. We'll talk about all that and much more as Fischer will join us. Rakestraw and Dustin Dopirak. Plenty to talk about. Indiana basketball looking to look forward after a couple of losses to Illinois and Purdue, both of those on the road. So not going to hurt them. Again, as I've said, Indiana needs to play par golf on the way out. It would be nice to see them do more than that, but no expectation for me or anyone for them to go to Illinois or Purdue and win. You would have liked to see them put on a better performance at Purdue. Purdue just had their way with Indiana in pretty much every fashion in that game. We'll talk to Don about that, but it is what it is. And so not much more expectation on that, but glad to have you along. New week started off. How about the Olympics? Man, if you did not watch the hockey game, the gold medal hockey game, you just missed out on a great Olympic moment for America, but for that team. First gold medal on the anniversary date of the Miracle on Ice. Was that 40 years now? But the USA wins the gold in hockey and over Canada in overtime with a golden goal. Man, that was just great to watch from start to finish, and enjoyed the heck out of it. I've got to tell you. I mean, that's got to be the best moment of the Olympics, not for just for America, but I mean, as far as thrilling competition, it's not exactly, no offense to figure skating or things like that, but there's no drama on the ice of winning and losing. Yeah, somebody falls, but it's not one-on-one. You can't see you know what I'm saying? I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying as a comparison, the drama, I don't think you can compare that, man. So here's to USA. I tip my coffee to you, but great win. Yes, USA. Is bobsled a sport or just a result of gravity? Hey man, getting in those things, not exactly free from fear. I mean, it's kind of crazy. So there's that. Kurt Cignetti is now the third highest paid college football coach in the sport. I thought he was the highest paid now, but he's at 13.2 as part of the good faith arrangement of him remaining in the top three coaches. Yeah, that news broke right after we got off of the air on Friday. So hated to see it happen right when we were getting off, but it is what it is. But Yeah, glad you brought that up. That happened on Friday. But Kurt Signetti goes from making $600,000 a year just 2 years ago when he was at James Madison. That's what he was making. And then he moved to Indiana, and I think it immediately went to like $4 million. Now it's within 2 seasons, it's at $13 million a year. Whew, crazy. But bringing it in, man. The return on investment is there. But yeah, nice raise. I'd sure take it. But I mean, as long as you're bringing it in, it's deserving. 13.2. Yeah, that's it. His new contract extension, it's an average of $13.2 million annually through 2033. The extension. He's one of the highest paid coaches in college football. It's called by the market review clause in his contract, which requires the university to adjust his salary if they reach the college playoff semifinal. They could very well do this again next year, but they wouldn't have to make any changes right now if that were to happen. He'd get bonuses. Signetti's performance has been exceptional, leading to this substantial raise and ensuring his continued success as coach. Yeah. Well, to the victor goes the spoils, as they say. And he was the victor, and those are the spoils, baby. But nobody's complaining as long as you win. I think he understands that. So you have to, I think you'll see the winning continue. And looking forward to it. How about Indiana basketball? They're going to have to get back on the winning side. But like I said, they went to two of the 3 toughest places you can probably go in the conference and play. And both of those teams are playing at a very high level, Illinois and Purdue. Both of them coming away with wins. Yeah. The Big Ten staying tight with several teams at the top. Michigan, oh yes, and Duke. Forgot about that almost. Duke wins that battle. Wow. Huge for that's going to knock Michigan out of the overall number 1 seed. They're still going to be a number 1 seed, don't get me wrong, but that'll knock them down to 3 or 4. Still on the number 1 line. But man, I was a little surprised. I'll be honest. I thought that I really thought that Michigan would be the victor there. And they weren't. They lost. A great game for Cameron Boozer and the Dukies as number 3. Duke stuns all of us, stunned me. Let's take a quick break. Well, I'll talk more about that later. Don Fischer's going to join us next. We'll be back with plenty more right after we take this quick break. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave & Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level all up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. And that means a visit from our good friend, the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. Don, how are you, sir?
Good, Jim. How are you doing?
I can't complain. Just looking forward to getting to spring. We keep getting teased, but it's not here yet, baby. But the snow's gone. At least that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. It's not been as cold here lately. That's good, although it's gotten colder. We had some nice weather, a week and a half ago or a week ago, and then it all went away again. But that's kind of the way it is in Indiana. And as long as there's not a lot of snow on the ground, it'll go away pretty quickly.
That is true. That is true. Indiana basketball, a couple of trips to 2 of the toughest places in the league to play, at Illinois, at Purdue, and both of those teams were playing very good basketball at the time or right now as well. So Indiana falls to both of those. No surprise, no expectation for them to go in and win at either of those places. Would have liked to have seen them play better at Purdue, Don. I don't think they were as competitive as they should have been. They allowed Purdue to just have their way. But Purdue's a pretty damn good team who's trying to find their way back to
That's
playing
right.
better as well.
Well, that was the biggest story of that ball game is just how hard they played, because they, right from the very beginning of that ball game, they took it out of Indiana's hands, and Indiana didn't have many answers for it. And the foul trouble that Indiana got into in that ball game was significant. The officiating was not very good, I didn't think. But you know what? You can't blame it on officials when you don't play your best. And there's no question Indiana did not play its best. I thought that the Hoosiers' defense was, they took advantage of Indiana's defense. There's no question about that. They got the ball into Wren, Kaufman Wren, and he was dramatically good. And then here's a guy that Indiana's really much had under wraps through most of the games they played here in the last several years, and that's Fletcher Lawyer. Yes. And he went nuts in this ball game and made a bunch of threes, which, they've been able to keep the guards. I think when Indiana's played its best against Purdue here of late, they've been able to keep those guards in a semblance of control. And that did not happen in this ball game. Braden Smith had his way. Lawyer had his way. They got good play from guys coming off the bench. And their defense was the best I've seen them play. Likewise, that was the same thing with Illinois. I hadn't seen Illinois play that good a defense like they did in the second half in that matchup with the Hoosiers in Champaign. That's the best defense I've seen them play this year, and I've seen several of their ball games. I just thought their intensity on the court in that ball game was pretty significant, and yet Indiana was in both those games up through halftime. It just got taken away from them in the second half.
Yeah, and I'll look at the stats, and I come up with the same two places that are just killing this Indiana team, and that goes to daggone it, points, second chance points, because
Rebounding.
in this game they got destroyed in rebounding, 30-15, but it's the offensive rebounds 6-1, but the second chance points 13-0. That's just, it's just too hard. That's hard to overcome, Don.
Well, and here's the thing, and we've said this throughout this season. Indiana is limited in the size department, in the physicality department inside. They just are. Reed Bailey and Sam Alexis do their best when they get out there on the floor, and there are times when Sam has been really good of late, has been a much better player here toward the end of the season, and has done a really nice job of getting loose inside. And they found him. They are able to get an inside presence offensively a little bit, but defensively, Indiana can't compete with that size. And I mean, look at the size in this league right now from the teams that are on top of the league.
Oh,
unbelievable! Yeah. All these teams have great physical presence inside. And Indiana doesn't have that right now. And that's not a knock on either one of our guys, because they're both tough kids and they both play their butts off. So all I can tell you is Indiana is limited in that area. And when you go up against a team that has a dramatic advantage in that area, you're going to have trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. And no doubt. And it has shown. So Indiana's going to have to take advantage of it where they can in the upcoming schedule. I still think that, to use a phrase you're familiar with, they just have to par out. And I think that they'll be okay. Not that that's what you want, but I'm saying if that is how it ends up, they have a few tough games left. One of those are at home with Michigan State coming up.
Right.
And a few more on the road, but they have opportunities. But I think that if they just take care of business, they will be fine as far as where they land up in the NCAA tournament.
Well, and I look at it from the standpoint of this. They've got 4 regular season games left. They've got to win 3 of those. If they win 3 of those, I think they've got a good chance to make the tournament. If they win all 4, they'll be in. I think that's the case, but they still have to do that. And Michigan State at home, Northwestern, Minnesota, those 3 games are right there. Indiana's capable of winning those 3, but Michigan State will likely be the toughest. And then they've got Ohio State on the road, who's playing some of their best basketball here toward the end of the season, in my opinion, based on what I've seen so far. And the Buckeyes aren't dramatically better than Indiana, but they have a good basketball team. And Diebler's done a nice job with that program this year, probably taking them to a level that a lot of people didn't expect them to get to. So I give him a lot of credit and their ball club a lot of credit, and you got to play them on the road. So you need to win these next 3 at home if you can, because you don't want to take your chances on that 4th game being the one that will either get you in or get you out.
And more importantly, you don't want your fate in somebody else's hands.
Correct.
Like it was last year. Just go ahead and solidify that. Sam Alexis, who had been playing really well, only 2 of 8 in this last game, 5 points. They didn't get much from him, but also still the biggest thing is Nick Dorn. They can't get him untracked right now because he had really elevated his play, and that had shown in the success that Indiana was having. And right now you can see when they're struggling, he's struggling and Indiana's struggling. So they need to have him going so you get all everything firing at the right time.
Well, and Nick is an important part. When he got inserted into the starting lineup, 7, 8, 9 ball games ago, he was a big factor in the early part of that. No question about it. But here of late, he's kind of struggled a little bit. And look, at this point in the season, guys are not going to necessarily be at their best because of maybe they got dinged a little bit. They've got maybe some kind of a nagging injury of some kind. You just don't know because naturally coaches and the HIPAA rules and all the stuff that goes on with that, we don't really know what their physical status is most of the time. But Coach DeVries told me in our pregame prior to the Purdue ball game, this is about as healthy a basketball team as we've had this year. And so from that standpoint, I just assume that everybody that's capable of playing will play. And there's no doubt that the injury bug is not really that problem right now. It's more just Indiana playing its best basketball.
And it's weird to imagine we're down to the final 4 games that Indiana has left this season.
And the Big Ten tournament, of course.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm sure. I should have said regular season. It's what I meant to say. But man, 3 of the 4 games they're all winnable. Actually, all 4 of those games are winnable games. 3 of them, I'm not going to say easily, but man, they could win all 4 of those. They could win 3 of the 4. But to be honest with you, Don, I think that a 10 seed is where you want to be. I've talked about this a lot because if you move up to a 9, then you're in that 8-9 game, number 1, where you're playing someone probably as good as you. Then your reward is you play a number 1 seed. So that number 10 seed is probably a sweeter spot to land.
I agree. I don't know. I don't look at brackets and not brackets, but I don't look at the postseason stuff like you guys do. And because I don't care, because I think the proof's in the pudding.
You're lucky you don't have to, I promise you.
The proof is in the pudding. And the pudding is, are you winning? Are you winning enough? And right now, Indiana is not winning enough, but they have a chance to do that. And that's what I think is the key right now. They've got to win these ball games. They are capable of winning.
Yeah, it's getting your head around and say, hey, guys, we've got 4 games left. It's a short season. You really change the season, and when you look at it, say, hey, this is or a 4-game tournament. You can look at it that way, saying, hey, we've got to win 3 out of these 4, but we really would like to win 4 out of the 4. And I think that's the attitude that has to be taken as they go forward.
And here's the other thing. With a healthy team right now, and I think this team is healthy, I don't think there's really that kind of a problem. You've got to have all hands on deck, and everybody's got to be playing their best basketball. I think it was good to get Conaway back in the lineup this past week in the Purdue ball game. He ends up with 12 points in that game, which, that's a positive. I mean, Tatum can do some things out there that you need. Connor Enright got in foul trouble. They needed somebody to take over that position in that Purdue ball game. Conaway came in and did a good job, at least from my perspective. And I would look at it at this juncture. This is a basketball team that started the season playing team basketball. They have not gotten away from that this year, but their best basketball has been played when they're hitting on all cylinders, especially from the 3-point line. And that has not been the case here at maybe the last 6-7 ball games. So they've won some of those, but nevertheless, they are not shooting the basketball like they did early on. That usually means the legs a little bit. And I think that I know that Darren has cut back on practice time at this point in the season. And I think that's a smart thing to do. You got to have your legs if you're a shooter. And without question, this team hasn't shot the ball quite as well as they have previously. So, here's the other thing. The schedule has played out perfectly for them. They've had 4 or 5 days of in between the last ball games. And they've got at least 2 days in between ball games now the rest of the season. So, you know what? They have no excuses. They have an opportunity here to get the job done.
Yeah, you've got another 2 weeks of rest or of time before you go into the Big Ten tournament,
right?
Which will be kind of pounding. But your broadcast up next Tuesday night, right?
Yeah, we're playing tomorrow night against the Northwestern Wildcats, a beatable team. Nick Martinelli is their star, of course, and he's one of the leaders in the Big Ten scoring-wise. I think he was leading the Big Ten in scoring. Maybe still is. I haven't looked at the stats here since the weekend. But at any rate, Martinelli is a really good player. They've got a young team, but they play hard. And Chris Collins gets his guys to play as hard as anybody in our league. And if they're on that night, as we know, Northwestern's beat Indiana 5 straight times. That needs to change in this matchup tomorrow night. Indiana's been beaten 5 straight times by Northwestern.
I did not know that, man. Wow. Yikes. Northwestern, Nebraska, both, they got to get off of those schneids, Don. Make sure you're tuning in for Don Fischer. You can use the Varsity app if you're outside of an area that carries him. Otherwise, I'm sure you're near a station that carries the Indiana basketball. Don, can't thank you enough as always, brother.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Jim. See you.
Appreciate you, sir. The great one joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, as he does always on each Monday. Indiana basketball coming back up tomorrow night, hosting Northwestern. Wow, they've lost. I didn't realize that. Holy smokes. See, that's ridiculous. You should never, ever, under no circumstances, should Indiana basketball lose to Northwestern 5 straight times. As a matter of fact, there's nobody they should lose to 5 straight times. But Northwestern? No. I'm sorry. No. This is not meant to be a slap against Northwestern. They've had some good teams. I don't care. You're Indiana. You don't lose 5 straight times to Northwestern, to Nebraska, whom they did or have. It's unbelievable. I mean, wow. Just pride, you would think, would prevent that. Oh, well, it is what it is. Yes, it is difficult. You got to make the transition from basketball to football. Well, you mean from football to basketball right now. Because that's where it is, baby. And it's about to be tourney time. Who's going to surprise? Who's not going to surprise? Who's going to disappoint and surprise? All kinds of things that are going to be coming up. As a matter of fact, I mentioned that big over the weekend, the Michigan Duke game. Cameron Boozer, 18 points. Number 3 Duke handled another neutral site loss to fellow blue blood Michigan. Now, if Michigan is considered a blue blood, really? I don't think so in basketball. That's Duke, yes. Michigan, I'm sorry. They've won what? They did win one national championship. That makes you a blue blood? Either way, the Wolverines had won 11 straight and replaced Arizona at the top at the number 1. Duke knocks them off. But I was a little surprised. I gotta be honest. That's a great win for Duke. Big win for Duke. But this is going to be a hell of a tournament. That was a tournament game. I mean, I was listening to it and it just felt like it was like being in the tournament. Number 23 BYU and AJ DeBansa upsetting number 6 Iowa State. Even though BYU is without one of their best players. DeBansa, 29 points. Remember, this dude's a freshman now. 10 rebounds. Double-double. Number 23, BYU, knocks off number 6, Iowa State, relatively easily, 79-69. That was on Saturday night for its first win over a top 10 opponent this season. man, they're a good team. Without, maybe this is letting AJ DeBances shine a little more. He's been scoring at an elite level against ranked competition all season. According to ESPN research, he's averaging 28 points in the Cougars' past 5 matchups against AP top 10 teams. Wow. Hey, let's take a break. Up next, the great Greg Rakestraw will join us. Hope you had a great weekend. If not, we'll start you a new week all over and head to another one. Back with more right after these messages.
Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has. Big Ten, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and CFP national champions. The Hoosiers have etched their name into the history books as the first 16-0 team in the modern era. A limited edition of only 5,000 commemorative national championship footballs has been released. 3 full panels embossed and stamped with every championship logo and fully licensed. Get your piece of history today at NicoSports.com. That's NicoSports.com. Indiana football accomplished what no other team ever has.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network joins us, I'm sure after a busy weekend, as always. Greg, how are you doing, sir? Oh, we've got you muted. I don't know if I do or you do. I think you do. So you'll have to. There you go.
Now I'm doing well. How are you?
Much better now that we can hear you. Great. Just waiting for that 70-degree weather, man.
I think end of the week, maybe. I think I saw sunny and 57, so maybe that's as close as you're going to get for the end of February.
Yeah, and for February, I'll take it. Not gonna lie, but I'm still waiting for. I'm waiting for 70s, baby. I'm a wuss. I hate being cold.
So you got to go to all those warm weather places, for national championship games, Jim. It spoiled you in January.
But you know what? None of them were great at the time of it was raining at the Rose Bowl, and it was unusually cold in Miami. Atlanta was the best one because it was inside, number one. So you never had to worry about anything. But, oh, man, great things going on. I know we're getting closer and closer to tournament time. And games, regular season games, seem to get better right before the tournament. It just seems like everything takes a tick up. It's like you know without knowing that it's there, and it just like seeps into no matter what, doesn't matter what sport, it's you can't ignore it.
I had a great one on Friday night. Had Pike and LN, and those are two of the top 10 teams in the state, and those are two teams that had met each other already in the Marion County championship game, with LN winning that one by 3. This time Pike got this one by 4, 68-64. And again, I think Pike is the second best team in the state. Fischer's beat them back in late January. Their other loss is to kind of a more of a national program in Wisconsin Lutheran. And even that was a very close game when they played back on Thanksgiving weekend. So Pike is legit. You do see a few more upsets, I think, this time of year, right leading into the tournament, just because teams are starting to focus ahead on what's coming next, maybe not what's in front of them. Carmel, I think, is a top 10 team in the state. They've lost twice in the last couple of weeks to Hamilton Southeastern and to Warren. And Warren, frankly, has really struggled this year. But as of last night, everybody knows their tournament path. We had the pairing show last night. And so some teams will play once or twice this week to kind of get ready. Some teams won't play at all this week to get ready for next Tuesday, next Wednesday. And again, this is not a blanket statement, but a couple of years ago, we actually shrunk the size of 4A. We went from about 100 teams in 4A down to about 80. Top 20% of enrollments now make up 4A. So a lot of 4A schools don't play until Friday. Most of the 1As, 2As, 3As at least get started Tuesday, Wednesday. Some of them will draw by until Friday. But we are 8 days away from the 116th IHSAA Boys Basketball State Tournament starting on March 3rd across the state of Indiana.
And everyone looking forward to it. Always a magical time. Mr. Basketball, that race, pretty much not really
over.
A race. I was going to say, not really a race.
Right.
And that happens sometimes, not a lot. But this is one of those times where it was pretty definitive. Actually, before the season started, it was that was like, okay, here's the situation. If somebody wants to challenge and take it, you can. But this is pretty much it.
No, Luke Ertl's going to be Mr. Basketball now. On the flip side, the Miss Basketball race is going to come down to the final weekend. There's really 5 or 6 candidates for that. And I think because of the two teams that made the 4A final, Norwell and Center Grove, I think Vanessa Rossworm, who's actually going to play NAI basketball, she's going to Indiana Wesleyan, there is a chance a non-Division I player wins Miss Basketball. And she is going there kind of by choice. Now, because of the greater flexibility you have in switching schools. A lot of great players from that league end up going the Division I route, both in women's or men's basketball. So after a year or two, she may decide, or maybe she might hear enough people's ear from the next couple of months, hey, you should be going Division I, and might take that opportunity. But Grayson Gilliard is the other player from Center Grove. And Center Grove knocked off Lawrence Central. 29-26 was the final score of their semi-state game down in Jasper on Saturday night. And so now, because of being the best player on potentially the best team, she might have a candidacy. I don't think might. She does have a candidacy for Miss Basketball. Lola Lampley is the highest recruited player in the state. She's going to play in McDonald's All-American game. She's going to play at LSU. So clearly she is in the mix. So we've got a lot of candidates for Miss Basketball. But Mr. Basketball, they have engraved the trophy. Luke Ertl's name is on the trophy. He's going to be Mr. Basketball on his way to Purdue.
When's the last time that you can remember that this was the situation? Who was the last player?
Last year, Braylon Mullins. I mean, Braylon, and in part.
Oh, well, that's true. That's true.
Right. Because of Cicely leaving. And frankly, Braylon, I thought, was the front runner going in. And obviously what he has done this year at UConn, has backed that up.
Oh, man, has it?
Because of guys like Harrelson and Cicely leaving the class, it made it very easy for it to be, Braylon Mullins. And I think all of us by November came to, like, you saw him play twice. You're like, yep, Braylon Mullins, Mr. Basketball. This one may have been even earlier, just because there is not the depth in this class that there was in last year's class. And perhaps Luke Ertl won Mr. Basketball in June last year. And let me explain. Junior All-Stars play the Senior All-Stars. They played that game at Greenfield Central. It's kind of that game has oftentimes become kind of the send-off for Mr. or Miss Basketball. You get to play one final game in your home gymnasium before you go on to college. And Luke Girdle, stole the show, scored 40 points, and made sure his team beat a more talented senior class. And probably on that night, we all said, hey, Luke Girdle's going to be Mr. Basketball this year.
Yeah, no question. I hate to go to a sadder situation,
Sure.
but Rondale Moore,
Yeah.
someone who was just a great athlete, a great player at Purdue, from New Albany, Indiana originally, and over the weekend has died. I don't know if it's official,
Sure.
the cause of death, but what was thought to be the cause of death, we know, and just shocking. And but it shows you, I guarantee you, this probably had something to do with his athletic life, where it was, how it had gone out. But I shouldn't say that, because what the hell do I know what was going through his mind? And so it's far from me to do that. I should not even have said that. But we wonder if that's the case, because I saw stats last night that had nothing to do with this, but it showed the average lifetime of an NFL player of, it's not long. It's a couple of years. And so, just a sad situation, period.
Beyond sad. And he had basically not played the last years. He'd been on NFL rosters, but had not played due to knee injuries. And so injuries has kind of derailed his career. There's a reason why basically to qualify for an NFL pension, you got to play a little more than 3 years, because again, it is the old Jerry Glanville analogy. It's NFL stands for not for long. Because
that
Rondale
pension's a big deal.
Correct. Because Rondale was so young and entered the league after 3 years at Purdue. He had been in the league for 5 years. He was 25 years old. I had the pleasure of covering Rondale as a basketball player, and the story, but for those that don't, Rondale, as Jim said, from New Albany, and sadly this where it appears is where he took his own life, was in Southern Indiana. And, after his sophomore year, of which he was a teammate of Romeo Langford, same age, they were on the championship team together back in 2016. Rondale was a key part of that team. But knowing that football was his future, he made the move to Trinity High School. He crossed the river and went to Trinity for his last 2 years, and obviously then followed the footsteps of Jeff Brom to go be at Purdue, was a star there, and, drafted by the Arizona Cardinals. Had a really good debut year, but the injuries kind of crept in. I think what this is the ultimate, and this applies to athletes, this applies to all of us. You never know what somebody else is going through. You only know what's happening in somebody's mind as much as they allow you to know what's going on in somebody's mind. So never assume that everything is okay with everybody. Always understand that there could be deeper issues at play with somebody. You don't really know what's going on in the course of somebody's life. It is amazingly sad that somebody at the age of 25, let alone a professional athlete, thinks their best way out is to take their own life. It's just staggeringly sad to think about that for Rondale Moore and his family this morning.
Well, it's unfortunately, when you deal with that, when you deal with depression, it doesn't matter what your status is.
Sure.
You don't see or feel that status.
Right.
You see or feel what you see and feel. And as you just wisely pointed out, no one else can understand that, because people that deal with depression are masters at deception.
Sure.
And I don't mean that they're liars. I mean that they are masters at hiding what they are dealing with, what they're going through, and how they're going through it, because they don't want others to know. They just, I don't know if it's because you feel less or whatever, but you don't want others to know. That is it's very important that no one else knows.
And I think that goes double or triple for somebody that is in a spotlight as a professional athlete, where everything is kind of based on your strength and your ability to be successful. And you don't want to show that sign of weakness. And that's, to me, what makes what the Indianapolis Colts have committed to, first under Jim's leadership, and now his daughters do the same thing with the Kicking the Stigma program about mental health. You can talk about some of the things the Colts have not gotten right as of recently. That may be the thing the Colts have gotten right more than anything else, is the fact that that is a group that is very much in the advocacy department for all things mental health. And we can all use a little bit more of that.
No doubt about that. So what is up? Making a little change and segue here, but what is up next for you? I know we've got the tournament around the corner, but it's not here just yet.
Final crazy week for me in terms of games. And part of that, and this is the case for some teams as well, we had to deal with snow makeup games this year, which is something we haven't had to do as much in years gone by. So I get the night off this evening. I'll head down to Cambridge Fieldhouse momentarily for the girls' state finals media session. But then I've got games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think I have a game on Sunday, potentially have a game on Monday. I know I got a doubleheader the following Tuesday, and then I get to breathe a little bit. And so one final crazy finishing kick to the year. That is a mixture of high school and college games. I will have the 3A and 4A finals for the IHSA girls basketball tournament, the 51st annual. Roncalli and Belmont, followed by Norwell and Center Grove. So those are the games that I will have. And since Jim and I like to talk Southern Indiana, I feel bad I won't have the morning session games, since both will have Southern Athletic Conference representation in the games. Borden looks to make it back-to-back state titles in 1A.
Borden Berries.
They take on Fremont as a proud Lanesville Eagle. Let's say it's 4 consecutive years where the Southern Athletic Conference team has been in the state championship game and potentially winning said state championship game. And Eastern, which just went back to the Southern Athletic Conference this year from being in the Mid-Southern Conference. Eastern has made the state finals. They won it 9 years ago. And the same school they played and beat 9 years ago is the one they are playing on Saturday. That would be the Golden Eagles of Oak Hill. And to tie it even further, Taylor Drury is one of the key pieces on that Eastern team 9 years ago. She's the head coach of the team now. So some really cool storylines. And that 2A game, Jim, that is kind of the upset special. Eastern was not ranked. Oak Hill was ranked 12th. The other teams that are playing in the 1A, 3, and 4A championship games all are somewhere top 5, top 6 kind of level teams. Roncalli was the only number 1 ranked team that made it to the state championship game in 3A. But really competitive games. And frankly, I think really good crowds are going to be at Cambridge Fieldhouse for those games on Saturday.
Peeking, don't you weaken, baby. And the Borden Berries, of course, now they're the Borden Braves. They're just going on the old school, old memories. But didn't Borden win a state title not too long ago?
Borden won last year. The Borden boys won 2013, 2014, maybe it's even 2012. So they have won a handful of years ago.
That's a big deal. I mean, for Borden, I'm telling you, I'm not knocking them. They're a small school, so, and it's not like they have this influx of big time athletes. So that's a big deal.
What is unique about this on many levels is the fact you got a lot of next door neighbors that both made state finals. Borden and Eastern being neighboring school districts. Belmont and Norwell. Norwell was in the 3A final last year. Norwell is playing a class up, and nobody in girls or boys basketball has won the 4A crown being a 3A school. It's happened in girls volleyball. It's not happened at the highest level in any other sports of the ones that have the success factor. So that's a big story. But frankly, Belmont had been stuck in Norwell sectional and not been able to get through. Norwell moves to 4A, and Belmont then makes it all the way to the state championship. Franklin's on a carryover between Roncalli and Center Grove. A little bit different there with being one parochial and one public. But I would guarantee you some of the Roncalli kids live in the Center Grove School District. It's just kind of the way that it works. So a lot of familiarity will be on display at this year's girls basketball state finals.
Is Angie Hinton still at Lanesville?
She retired after last year. So
I was wondering.
We'll see if Angie gets back into coaching. She is going into the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame coming up in April.
Will that be the first husband and wife team in the Hall of Fame as coaches?
I believe that it's literally happening this year. I think Ed Schilling and his wife April are both going in this year. As part of that.
Ed's wife is going in?
April is going in for the first time. I got to make sure I got that right, but I want to say that's the case. So it could be a tie on that front.
You know what? I need to get Joe and Angie Hinton on. That would be fun. Just especially if I could get Joe Hinton in game mode. That's the thing. If you could get
him to get the dump button ready, if you get him in game mode, Jim.
Wouldn't that be awesome though? I mean, but have you ever met someone as different on and off the court as Joe Hinton is? I have not.
A lot of coaches can flip that switch, and Joe is one of them. Absolutely.
It was so fun. I mean, it would be amazing. He was my driver's ed teacher. I swear to God, and he would like the biggest thing about Joe with being a driver's ed teacher, and everybody knew this for years. Is like he falls asleep in the car, and he does. We just maybe out driving around, and he all of a sudden you hear old Joe over there sleeping. It's just fun.
Your job as a student driver was to not wake him up. That was exactly what your goal then was.
Not to do something stupid that would wake him up.
Correct. Yes.
I do remember he had to hit the brake, but they had their own brake pedal.
Yes, they do. Yeah. And my basketball coach was my driver's ed instructor, Jerry Reinhardt. So yes, I've lived that. Absolutely.
He did have to hit the brake once. I remember. I don't remember what I did, but I remember him hitting that one time. But
me too.
Yeah, great memories. That's part of. I mean, imagine some of the greatest IHSA winners of all time. I guarantee you, they were all freaking driver's ed teachers. I bet you at some time that JR at South was a driver's ed. Hell, he's done everything else.
So you've been in the school system for 57 years, going back to Tunnelton and then Bloomington South. So I guess he's taught some of that at some point in time too. That'd be a safe.
He may have been the horse and buggy teacher.
I'll let you tell JR that joke next time you see him.
I don't think that would go over well, but man, appreciate you. Where can everybody find everything that's coming up on the ISC network?
ISCSportsNetwork.com. The Girls State Finals, IHSATV.org. My IU Indy games coming up on Wednesday and Saturday on ESPN Plus, and Sunday I think I've got Indiana State if it doesn't get selected for television, which is ESPN Plus as well. So I'm all over the internets this week, Jim.
You're everywhere, man. You're always omnipresent. Speaking of omnipresence, will you have a presence at the NFL Combine?
I will not, actually. I get to skip that. And I will be listening. Tomorrow is when Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard both meet with the media. So you will hear some sound bites from those two as of 4:30 tomorrow afternoon.
Well, we look forward to hearing you as always, brother. Enjoy the rest of your week before you get after it.
Thanks, my friend. Talk to you next week.
You betcha. There he is. That's Greg Rakestraw from the ISC Sports Network. And always a pleasure as the high school season, boys basketball about to come to an end as far as the tournament getting ready to start. The regular season about to come to an end, I should say. Man, we've got lots more. Dustin Dopirak will join us next. We'll talk about everything, including what the Pacers have been up to and everything else. Appreciate you being with us on this Monday. We're back with plenty more right after these messages. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our all-new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch all your team's wins on a 40-foot screen and 30 HD TVs. And level it up with the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game. Private game suites, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's on 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Glad to have you along. Glad to be here with you. And Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star. He is a star. He is an Indy Star. You are an Indy Star.
I try, Jim.
You don't have to try much, brother. You are it. Another great weekend of sports action. I tell you, I have not watched a ton of the Olympics, but I watched the men's Olympic hockey final. What great drama. It's one of the few things that actually I can't stand sports that are judged.
Okay.
Like one that where a French team who gets very low marks from all the other judges except for one particular French judge and gives them the gold medal. That kind of stuff is crap. It reminds me of watching the World Cup back in the old days, like 4 years ago or longer, where they flop all the time. The flopping is kind of gone. Well, you remember they used to flop nonstop. It was ridiculous. But I think some of that is starting to go away at that level. But the Olympics, man, it's all, unless you're a judge racing against the clock, or that's acceptable. I just hate the judged events because there's always bull crap in judging. There is.
I mean, I get it, but like you're also not like invested in figure skating the other 4 years. So it's like it is something to get mad about. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, okay, like it's not like you
gotta have something to howl at the moon about, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're fired up about it. My wife's still fired up about it. She's not happy about how it went down at all. Not one bit. Still hearing about that. You know, just
couldn't even tell you who the skaters were. I couldn't even tell you who the skaters were.
It's Shock and Madison, I think, is what the U.S. team was that got. It was tight. It was tight. Both, yeah. My mom and my wife both strongly disagreed with the
as they should.
Wrongly believe that the U.S. team should have won that.
As they should have.
Yeah,
but,
I thought both teams were good. You know, like I'm just happy everybody had fun. But yeah, no, I think
just give them all a trophy, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can't do any of that. I don't know, like you.
Have you ever tried to ice skate?
Yes, and it's really bad.
I did one. You can always tell how things went when you say this. Yeah, I did that once.
Yeah, sure. No, you know.
I tried that once. I remember, and I have horrible ankles to begin with from sports. Just
sure, yeah.
And I already was thinking, I'm not wanting to stand on a single blade 4 inches off the ground and hope my ankles are going to support that. But it was not fun. Now roller skating, I used to dig that, man. I remember when I was a little kid, and your mom made you go to Sunday school and all that.
Sure.
Well, our church would have like a Monday night
deal skating over to this place in New Albany. And I loved it because they have these races during the night. And boy, you get in. It was like the Olympic speed skating, baby. It was. And the winner got, I'll never forget this. The winner got, I think, a bubblegum cigar. That was what the winner got. But I didn't care about that. I just wanted to. It was my competitive nature must have started young because I remember not caring about anything but winning.
Right.
And anything short of that didn't matter. But it was fun. I did love that. It was that was a good time.
Right.
But you could sure hit the wall hard if you made that one mistake.
Yeah. No, for sure. It could get you. Yeah, we had roller skating was a deal when we were kids. Like we had like kind of a monthly, like everybody went to the roller skating rink type of deal. It was like, like your school's day, basically. And yeah, I mean, I was terrible comparatively, but that is easier, substantially easier than my ice skating attempts. So that gave me a chance. But I'm still bad at it. I'm better. We probably end up going like once every 2 years. So, I'm a little bit better every time.
I took my daughter roller skating once when she was young. So this was probably 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And it was a place that, thank God, they had carpet on the walls. Because after all that time, I was not as sure-footed on there. I was okay, but I stayed close to the wall the whole time. But I would get going, and I'd give myself carpet burns. That was not good. So that was it, man. How's everything going for Dustin Dopirak?
Good, man. Back at it. Breaks over. Didn't go to Washington for those 2 games. That didn't feel like I missed much watching that on TV. But they got back in action yesterday. Decent game. They didn't play. Aaron Nesmith's out for another week, but Siakam played. And they lost 134-130. So they're not apparently going to completely shut it down, as a lot of people were sort of concerned that they might.
They may not have to, though.
Yeah, they still losing just even when they're trying hard. So, Dallas doesn't want to win either, and the Pacers still managed to give up a few more points than they
and the Wizards, very importantly, the Wizards that game against Washington, where they lost.
Yeah, that's it. They managed to lose both of those games. That was actually doing something, because the Wizards clearly are very much in the I'm not going to call it tanking because that's an accusation.
In the hunt. They're in the hunt.
They're in the hunt in the reverse standings.
Yeah, in the hunt for that last spot. We're going backwards here, people. We're talking about the last. You want the last place team in the NBA for that first pick in the draft.
Sacramento seems to want it more than everybody else. Right?
Yeah,
they've got 12 wins.
And
the Pacers have 15, and it seems
the Pacers have won they've had multiple 3-game win streaks.
So, we're talking about the Pacers here?
Yeah, it's hard to call a team out for tanking when they've had multiple 3-game win streaks, one of which, was, recently.
Right. It's kind of more of a thing of they have not yet begun to tank. Probably the most blatant tanking they've done was probably the 2 games right after, against the Wizards. I mean, that's the most tanking they've done. That's the most you could call it tanking. I would say, and prior to that, it was always second games of back-to-backs. They give everybody the day off, and so that is tanking. I mean, when you're trying to win, when you're trying to get somewhere with a season, you're finding a way. Maybe if you feel like you've got guys that need it physically, you might give an older player the day off, but if you're trying to win, you're not giving Siakam, McConnell, Nembhard, Nesmith all the day off. You're not. And they were more competitive. They were better. They won, the Brooklyn game in spite of taking everybody out. But that's obviously the kind of behavior that you do when you're not really trying to win that much. And then coming back from the All-Star break, when everybody had a week off and saying, okay, well, Pascal Siakam gets a personal day, and then hadn't heard much about this hamstring that he's apparently dealing with. Apparently is a thing that they gave him off, Friday. Obviously those are signs of, hey, we're not really trying to get wins here. That's not the priority at this point. And so there will probably be more of that as you get down to the break. But it's pretty wild that they got, hit up for $100K fine before they started doing anything that's going to really look like tanking. There's going to be a time when this shuts down. They're not going to, Pascal Siakam was not playing the last day of the year. You place your bets if you're, on player participation prop bets or whatever. You're not going to see him on April 13th.
That leads me to my next question. And I just wrote down, is this a great time to bet prop bets against certain teams in the NBA?
I mean, it is. I hate prop bets. The players,
it's something I don't ever think of. I cannot tell you the last time I've made a bet.
Sure.
It would be back in football season. I'm not a big bettor. So I may talk about it, but I don't get the wrong idea, people. I'm not a big bettor. I don't even think about it. I rarely, if ever, have made prop bets.
Right.
Where, I know a lot of people just sit around every night at a bar or whatever, and they're just, and it doesn't have to be very much, but I just don't even think about it. I'm probably glad that I don't.
It'll get you.
I mean, a lot.
Yeah, those things will really get you, and also it's just that's where you see some of this bad behavior that ranges from people yelling at the stands at people for not clearing their props, and even beyond that, threats on social media, and then actually paying off people allegedly paying off people like Emmanuel Chase to just miss pitches. I'm trying to figure out what Maxine's doing right now. Anyway,
is Tyrese Halliburton dealing with shingles?
Yes.
How the hell is a dude that young? That's usually affects you when you're older, doesn't it?
Yes. I don't know. I mean, it's All-Star break. They all went places, so I have no idea. That's all I would say. So I have no idea how he might have contracted that. Yes, that is generally an old man's disease. So not old man, old person's disease, more or less. But I don't know. I mean, it is what is it? Sort of looking for contagious, as far as I know. So who knows who he might have come in contact with? Who knows who might have been around? What he might have been around? I have no idea. So don't have the answers to that one yet. But apparently, he ain't playing anyway. So that's clearly not a phantom thing that they just came up with. I mean, he has not been around. So, and he had been around the entire time. So, this guy must be pretty serious. So, for them to bring it up. So I don't know. I don't know how that happened, but Rick was asked a pretty random question about guard play, and how much it holds both the Mavericks and Pacers back that they don't have their star point guards because Kyrie Irving's out for the year. And he was like, Tyrese has shingles. He's not around for the next 2-3 weeks. So don't know what. But so on top of already going through as much rehab and everything else as he's going through, he's got 2 or 3 weeks to probably can't do anything because he's got shingles. Apparently that's everything I've ever heard is that's miserable.
I was going to say, I've heard it's really painful, man.
Yeah. No, I heard it really hurts. So.
Especially at that young of an age. That's
yeah.
But then that makes you wonder, is this something he'll have to deal with going forward?
Probably not. I mean, isn't it the thing you get it once?
I don't think so. I think it's once you have it. And it's I'll have to research. I know my mom had
my WebMD on that one.
Yeah, I know. I remember my mom had them later in life, and
right?
But it was very painful.
Yeah,
it's like a rash of similar. I'll be honest with you. I've got to Google it. Shingles is caused by it doesn't matter what it's caused by, but it typically presents with a painful rash, burning sensations, and flu-like symptoms.
Yeah.
It's
terrible.
But it's not a one-time thing.
Right.
When you have it, you have it.
That'd be awful.
Oh man, yeah, that's too much to dig into for us to do on this show. We're not doing
Let's move on.
a medical report here. It's like Oprah, Dr. Oz, Dr. Dustin Oz on here with us. But but yeah, I'll look more into that. But not going to be fun for him, especially if that were to come out during the season. But right now, it doesn't matter if they end up.
It doesn't matter for us. It doesn't matter for anybody else who's like trying to, fans or whatever. But it's terrible for him. It just sucks.
Getting back to the Pacers, whether they end up first or second, I don't know that it matters because it's going to be very curious with Darren Peterson. What happens with him? Yeah, because his, the most important, the greatest ability is availability. As I've said, his availability has not gotten any better. As a matter of fact, it may have been the same or a little worse. Sure. And no one knows why, what this is. So I think teams are just going to be a little leery of that. I know they're going to be, but how much so? Right. I could see him, and with the injury to the player at BYU, AJ DeBance has kind of been asked to do more, and he's kind of doing more. So he may end up being elevated to that number one. Cameron Boozer and Duke just beat Michigan behind a strong performance by him. I mean, I can see Darren Peterson dropping to 3 to 4, and maybe even a little further because of his question marks.
Yeah. No, I would say I'll answer that a couple of different ways. I mean, first off, there's going to be in the draft process an opportunity to really explore this. I mean, like you got to present yourself for medical evals. I mean, obviously, if he just refuses to do one, then that's his whole other issue. But they're going to, doctors are going to have a chance to really look at the medicals and get a sense, okay, what was this really? And I mean, I don't think this is, I think everybody clearly is saying, hey, this is not a phantom thing. Like whatever this is real. Whether it's cramps, a hamstring, something. You're going to get a better sense of what he was really dealing with. I know if I follow, Sam Vecini, I think is the Athletics, NBA draft guy. And he was just, he basically was pointing out, like, just look at the difference of how he's elevating on his shot. Like something's up, like physically, like it's not a case of they're making this up. Bill Self has been pretty clear that, it is a thing. And he was interviewed about it, the other day when he said, the way to change the narrative is to play more, but within that conversation, I mean, that got, a little content farmed there that, he basically was saying, well, you just got to play. But within that, he was saying, like, there are people, out there spouting the narrative that this is something different than what it is, that this is just a case of Darren Peterson doesn't really want to play that much. He's like, that's not it. Like, he has a thing, and it's only been sort of partly explained. But, I mean, it could be some kind of leg injury that, like you could find out basically that like Peterson probably would have been better off, or he had something that it wasn't a season ending injury, but, it was something that could play through, but he was never going to be good on it this year that could heal. I mean, like I said, I don't know what it is. I don't have his medical evals either. But, like you might find out, hey, that actually was probably pretty miserable. And you got to give him credit for playing as much as he did. And, on one hand, you might find out that, all right, he should have done better, but you could also find out, hey, like he could have just played not at all. Like he could have just shut it down and trusted his high school tape to get him drafted. Instead, he's like, okay, well, I made a promise to Kansas. They're paying me money. I got to do something, and this is what he could give him. You might find that out, and you kind of like changes your idea as to what it is. Either way, I don't think, what NBA draft teams are going to care is that, like, okay, one, was this a real thing? They're going to want to know, all right, like you were really hurt, right? Like you weren't, like just taking it easy because you thought you were going to get picked. Okay, first off. Second, is this going to be a recurring thing? Is this something we're going to have to deal with when we draft you? And are you going to be a 15 minute a night guy for that reason? Because if you are, that obviously changes how valuable you are. What's coming here is going to be the thing. And then, depending on how those come out, you'll see where he actually slots. But yeah, I mean, he could fall. And frankly, that's not the worst thing for the Pacers if they do get a 3 or the 3 or the 4 pick. I just think from style of play, he's the easiest fit for them. I think right now, if you're picking first, you should, if you had to go into tomorrow, if the draft was tomorrow and you had to go into it with no medical evals and you're just like, all right, like just if you're just going on guessing and, like probability, what could this be? You're taking Devonta at this point, and you might take Boozer too. It depends. I think Boozer's case, it depends on your roster situation. Boozer, I think, is the most sure thing of the draft. Like, you're getting a productive NBA player. I don't know if you're getting an all-star, but you're getting a guy that can start for you. Like right out of the gate, he is so physically and mentally mature. It's remarkable. I don't know how much growth potential is there because I think he's really got a lot out of his body already. I mean, he looks like a grown-up. It's amazing. But like Devonta, you look at and you see growth potential. You see a guy that can put muscle on. You can see a guy whose game gets better. Like AJ Devonta today is better than he was a month ago. 2 months ago. Like there's growth. He's a better shooter. He's got better feel. Like, I mean, you're seeing him growth in the middle of it.
I think both he and Boozer would be able to play in their first year in the NBA without question.
Yeah, no, I mean, all 4 of them are going to be able to play, and I include Caleb Wilson as the 4th guy.
Well, Darren Peterson, he can barely play in college, so.
Sure. No, but again, if Darren Peterson can play, he will play. I keep saying this, like the argument that I have for Peterson in my mind, what really stands out to me is that I look at Peterson being able and doing things that they spent 4 years trying to get Benedict Mathurin to do. And now the Benedict Mathurin for the Clippers, he doesn't have to do it. He looks great. like the Clippers is the best possible fit for Benedict Mathurin. I mean, that guy is putting up numbers over there because they'll just let you ISO all day, and because Leonard does, like it could be my turn, your turn, and that's what they've been doing with Leonard and Harden, and now they can do it with Leonard and Mathurin. But Mathurin, they wanted him to fit within this offense and be able to keep the ball moving and rolling, and it's harder. It's harder to go that way. Like it requires a level of discipline and stuff like that. So, he, Darren Peterson does that now. He's a guy that just moves really well without the ball, makes quick shots, makes quick decisions. Like he just fits into what I think the Pacers would want a 2-guard to do. So, if the Pacers are 4th, yeah, they're taking Darren Peterson and not thinking twice about it if he's still on the board. And it's just like you'll believe in the medical evals must be at least reasonably okay. Because if they only get 15, 20 minutes out of him next year, that's fine for them. The Pacers don't have to draft their franchise. They already have it. They already have their franchise guy. Other guys,
that's a luxury, but that's a luxury that those other teams at the top don't have.
No, because if you're a team that needs there was floated the idea of Darren Peterson like being like kind of having like Kobe Bryant skills. Like if you draft Darren Peterson number 1, a bunch of other teams that are not in good shape need Darren Peterson to be Kobe Bryant. If you're the Wizards, if you're Brooklyn, if you're Sacramento, like you are starting over from scratch. Like Sacramento's got a couple guys, but I mean they're older. Like they're going to have Sabonis, get back healthy and that kind of thing, and so they'll have a piece. But you need him to be the guy that you're building around. The Jazz for one and the Pacers for another don't need that necessarily. They like the Jazz would need Peterson to be really, really good. They need him to start. They need him to be the guy. The Pacers can bring him off the bench. I think, like you're going to have a really hard time whether you're Devonta or Peterson at unseating Andrew Nembhard or Aaron Nesmith. Some people might not look at that way because these guys are going to be better scorers than Nembhard and Nesmith will ever be. But Nembhard and Nesmith can guard. And they're going to be able to put 2 other all-stars around him in Halliburton and Siakam, a legit big and Zubac. It's okay if the Pacers run out of starting lineup that, they don't have big-time scorers at the 2 and the 3, and where those guys are your top defensive players and you're do everything guys, as long as they have some level of offensive productivity, that works just fine. What they need more than anything else is a 2-guard off the bench that can really score. And Peterson would fit that way, and he'd fit right in. You run him with McConnell and Jarris Walker, who I think is at least establishing himself as a guy that's going to be in the rotation next year, and Obi Toppin when he's back healthy, and Jay Huff, and you got a pretty good second unit there. And so that's all the Pacers need him to be next year, as far as Darren Peterson is concerned. So if he slips to 3 or 4, if everybody else gets nervous, that's a gift for the Pacers. That works out just fine. But if they get number 1 overall, like, you still can't miss there. You still, like, you're going to look bad if you get a guy that ends up even being a 15-minute a night guy, even if that really helps you next year. You're going to need to be able to build on him. So I think right now everybody's taking DeBonsa unless Boozer fits for you perfectly. And so depending on what you already got. So Boozer might be your guy. And to me, Boozer's going to be player of the year runaway, and he's a top 4 pick, and he's going to give Duke a shot to win the whole thing. So, Boozer's going to have the best college season out of any of these people. But, whether or not he fits for you is, again, you're going to be able to trust him. You're going to know he's going to be good, like whether he's going to be an all-star, probably fringy as far as that's concerned, doesn't have a ton of offensive explosiveness, but is just such a good basketball player that you're going to get something good out of him.
He is just solid. I mean, he reminds me of an NBA player right now.
Yeah.
I think he's better than his dad was.
He's far more versatile. I mean, he's not as big.
It's probably because of his dad. He had his dad as a mentor, and so you're gonna have someone teaching you the things that you did well, but also maybe the things you did not do well.
Right. And I mean, he's got a different body. I mean, like Carlos was massive, like Carlos was wide. But the game was different then. I mean, like, you didn't give those type of players the same level of responsibility, Cameron's a point forward. I mean, Cameron can bring the ball up. Cameron can be on either side of a pick and roll. Like you weren't running a pick and roll with Carlos Boozer as the ball handler. How many threes? Yeah, I mean, I'd have to check and see how many threes Carlos Boozer took in his whole career. Where Cameron, it's a big part of his game. It's a huge part of his game. So.
Yeah, my favorite sports picture, I can't find it right now. Daggone it, I've always had it here, but is my man AJ.
He was a 7.1%. Yeah. True. Yeah, no, Carlos was 1 of 14 for 3 in his entire NBA career. Like, in 13 seasons, he took 14 threes and made 1.
Wow.
So I promise you, Cameron Boozer will take more than 13 3-pointers.
How is it possible he only took that many shots at being that big?
13 threes, 14 threes. I mean, that's what they used to do, man. Zubats has barely taken that many in his entire career. The guys that are
but I wouldn't. But he's a 7-foot guy, so he's got a different role than a 6'8" Carlos Boozer would have had.
And he doesn't though. he was 258. He was 6'9". I mean,
that's crazy that's crazy. That shows how the NBA has changed.
Oh yeah. No, like early, late 90s, early 2Ks. Oh yeah.
Brian says Zubac hasn't shot a 3 since 2021.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's not his role. They've got
Carlos made his 1 3 in 2004, and so for the last 11 years of his career, he was 0 of 1, 2, 3, 5. He was 0 of 7 from 3 in the last decade he played. So that tells you how the game changed dramatically. But I mean, Cameron's a different build. I mean, Cameron's more of a 4 where Carlos was more of a 5 build. He was definitely playing, back to the basket in college, and where Cameron's going to be, I mean, everybody faces up, and, Cameron's going to face up, I mean, he might ball handle in a pick and roll more than he sets it, in the NBA. Like maybe not, but maybe, he's a really good roll guy. He's a really good screener. He's a really good pick and pop guy. So, okay, I'm totally wrong there. He's going to ball screen plenty, but he's going to be, he's going to have opportunities as a handler. Nobody, 4 and 5 guys at that point, like in 2004 in the NBA were not ball handlers and pick and rolls, like that's not something that happened very frequently. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 guys, in the league that were exceptionally skilled. But yeah, no, I mean, it is going to be a different world for Cameron. And he was taught and brought up that way, obviously by Carlos, but other people around him, that you're going to be a different player. And, it helps that his brother's a point guard, and so those two played together and played against each other and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that was also helpful.
There's the picture for those of you that are following on social media. You could watch.
Look how
I was at that game.
Mm-hmm.
6'4" AJ Moye goes up and blocks 6'8" Carlos Boozer at the rim during Indiana's game against Duke back in 2002 in Lexington's Rupp Arena, which helped propel them back from a 17-point deficit. That was an incredible game.
Sure was.
Man, yeah, the reigning champion. They were undefeated reigning champions. That was, and for it to happen in Rupp Arena, it was all craziness. There was Kentucky people. I was there as a fan for that game,
right?
Which was rare that you get to do that, but it was so funny. I remember there was some dude behind me that was a Kentucky fan, and he was pulling for Indiana, and I was like, man, there was no way in hell I would be pulling for Kentucky in any scenario. I always tell people, I don't care if they were playing against a team of devils coached by Saddam and managed by Vladimir Putin. I said, that's my team if they're playing Kentucky. I don't care. And I mean, seriously. And they said, like, well, we don't like Duke that much. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, there's no alternative for me if you're
people like upsets though. The thing about it is like we
all do.
The neutral site wave, like basically like
but your two rivals.
Sure.
I'm like, there's no lesser of two evils. That'd be like if for Indiana fans, I would love to see what Indiana fans think, because I wouldn't care.
Yeah, what if Kentucky played Purdue? What if Kentucky played Purdue is the big question. My gut react. I think it's different now than it would have been.
Yes, I agree.
My view, I don't think people outside of this really get how much Indiana hated Kentucky in the Calipari era, particularly, which was fascinating, especially because.
Well, I think they always did, because Bob Knight really, really juiced that rivalry with the Kentucky cheating part of it. Then when, he popped Joe Hall on the back of the head that time, he didn't like that. And so, there was just a natural rivalry that was just organic between the people of Indiana and the people of Kentucky for a lot of reasons. I've told this many times, I grew up when I was able to just be a pure fan. I hated Kentucky.
Right.
Purdue was not even on my radar. I couldn't have cared less. Growing up in Southern Indiana, it's like, Purdue, unless you were just really locked into all of that, I couldn't have cared less about Purdue. I had to get to college to learn to not like Purdue. But that Kentucky thing, that never went away, because that was organic and it stayed. And I have to be honest, it stays to this day. I can't. That's one that I don't really care to get rid of, because I'm like, I need something for enjoyment. So that's the one. The Purdue thing, I'm like, I try to stay out of that one. But
I think it's harder to hate Mark Pope. Side note, I thought, from time to time you'll see in college basketball, college sports in general, you'll have a journalism class that will bring their kids to, a press conference, and the professor will ask, a coach, like, what advice would you have for my kids? And it's funny because it's like you're not necessarily taking that as gospel. It's just interesting to see what a coach has to say, because they're not doing the job, it is, but like they are affected by the job. They're not doing the job. But it's always interesting to see how it looks to them, because it's more of a hurdle for their job than it is something that, at best, at best it's inoffensive. If not, it's something, journalism they have to deal with is something they actively dislike. And Pope had a great answer about truth and storytelling that I thought was fascinating. So Mark Pope went up a couple rungs on my, find you likable scale for that one. But, he's not as easy. Now he's not as effective. That's the other thing, as Calipari and some other Kentucky coaches throughout the years have been. But he's less hateable. So I think, but I do think Indiana fans still have that. That's always on a slow boil. But it was easier at peak Calipari when everybody's like, the level, like if you walked around Bloomington and said that, I don't think John Calipari's paying players at that point. Like you would have been argued with strongly, and nobody had actual
by everybody on the planet,
right? But particularly in Bloomington, Indiana, the level of certainty I think that everybody in IU had that the John Walls, DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davises, et cetera, of the world were getting cash payments among like Bloomington people were certain of that. Nobody knows that.
Nike was definitely taking care of, and Worldwide West. We can't forget
everybody. Like all of that stuff was so prevalent in IU fan circles that that this has to be shady. That there's no way this is going on without somebody, getting payment. And I don't know that obviously, but so the level of fan hatred was through the roof, and that's why the watch shot created the response than it did. It partially was because where IU had been, but also it was because it was Kentucky, because that was the best Kentucky team. And because that they were just utterly certain that John Calipari was running a crooked program, whether it was actually true or not, who knows, but they certainly 100% believed it. And that added to the, that added to the level of just joy, basically, that come down from winning that game. So, at that point, if Purdue played Kentucky, Indiana fans are become Purdue fans that day, certainly would have. Now it'd be interesting, now it could go either less, because I do think Indiana fans certainly respect Matt Painter. I think over the course of time,
you have to
respect Matt Painter. He's easily one of the most likable guys in college sports, just a remarkably normal human being. And it's hard for even normal people to stay normal in this profession. It drives you crazy. Matt Painter has managed to put himself in a place where this game doesn't drive him nuts. And that's a skill, honestly. The ability to do that, to operate personally in a way that this game doesn't drive you crazy is hard. And Painter's done a pretty good job of that for my money. So there is definitely, I think if you're an Indiana fan, you look at Purdue and it's still annoying that they say IU sucks all the time. But
boy, it was raining down the other night.
But it was. Yeah, and Mackey, I'm sure it was. But, I think there is a respect level for Painter. And so I don't think Indiana fans are ever cheering for him to win a championship. I'm sure that they were UConn fans, in that title game a couple of years ago. But, if it was Purdue and Kentucky, I do think IU fans would still say, all right, if I have to watch this game, I'm coming down on Purdue's side.
No doubt about that. Let's take a quick break. Great Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star with us. Make sure you're giving him a follow. Back with more right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games every Sunday through Thursday, a new menu to dig into, and next-level upgrades like private game suites, the high-flying human crane that puts you in the game, our exclusive arena, and more. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington, 731 South College Mall Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle with you as always. Dustin Dopirak. I think I skipped a break. You got me going so well. We went all the way through, and I missed an entire break. So,
jeez,
I'll have to
advertising to get you for that one, Jim.
Hey, I'll have to make that up. But
yep.
Dustin Dopirak with us. What's up for you coming up this week, man? We're getting close to. I know you don't cover, but you get to follow for fun the NCAA tournament Final Four in Indianapolis this year. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Star will have you do anything for that. Maybe they will.
Unlikely, just because, I mean, I know I've got some travel in there. I know there's a couple drive
that is
games.
Still be going on. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to see how they want to handle it. Obviously, we're going to be multiple guys on that. Not multiple guys, multiple people on that. Because, I mean, certainly I imagine Chloe Peterson will be a part of it as well. But I think they might. It might depend on who makes it. As far as potential prospect guys, if BYU gets there, or Duke gets there, or North Carolina gets there, or if Kansas gets there,
How about that win, Duke over Michigan? I was a little. I shouldn't have been, but I was a little surprised because they had them handled for the entire end of that game.
That was a good basketball game. I mean, I think you're really looking at that and saying, okay, those are two real championship contenders. But like, don't know who would win if you played it again on a neutral site again. But that like in that,
and we just might get a chance to see that.
Yeah, no, it's possible. So we'll see what that looks like. It could, it definitely be a fun game to watch if you do it again. Arizona's obviously right there. Arizona's played phenomenally well. I think that's definitely a team that got better by losing, dropped a couple, and they came back and beat Houston the other day. That was a really good basketball game too. Houston's right up there. Yeah, I mean, and like Kansas didn't play well the other day, got beat by Cincinnati. That had no business happening, but I mean, Kansas could be in that one. But there's a lot of possibilities for who you could see, and I think it's got a chance to be a terrific Final Four. I mean, I think I think everybody's just noticing what this freshman class is doing, and it leaves open for a lot of possibilities. I mean, like, a cuff for Arizona go.
There's so many different players that are really playing well this year. The draft is going to be fun. But just watching these guys in the season is going to be I think it's going to be one of the funner NCAA tournaments we've seen in a while. There will be some upsets, of course, as usual, but just seeing if it went chalk, man, a rematch between Duke and Michigan, Illinois getting in there. All of the other teams that are at Houston that are at the top playing well. I know that they, let's see, did they just recently take a loss? Yeah, but that was to Arizona. And then you got Arizona. Oh, man, mixing in there, all from these different conferences. The Big 12 and Arizona looking strong, but you've got Houston and Iowa State. Then you from the Big 10, you've got Michigan, you've got Illinois, Michigan State, Purdue, Nebraska. What can they do? So it's going to be an interesting run, no doubt about that, and looking forward to it. So great to have Dustin on with us, and I think he just lost his connection, so that's okay. We'll look forward to having him on again next week. But man, I think it's going to be a hell of an NCAA tournament. It's, again, like college football. It has gotten so good because it has been leveled out. And I don't care if it's Duke. That means they're still doing what they need to do to get the players. So, hey, it's up to everybody else to catch up. Yet Dustin coming back, we can't finish without him saying, but now I can't find my, there we go. Couldn't get you back in there. But I was just saying, I think it's going to be a hell of a tournament. Sure. I think just like college football, we've seen the tide has risen all ships. And with the transfer portal, man, we have seen such a growth. And in basketball, it's still mostly a lot of the bigger programs, Illinois, Michigan, Arizona, Houston, teams that we've seen at the top for a while. Hasn't really changed, but we don't know who's going to be the best. What's Arizona going to be able to do? Man, wow, just some great matchups that we can look forward to.
Yeah, no, I mean, like it is a crazier sport now, and I think, you know, certainly because football drives so much of it that basketball is just expected to catch up and figure it out. Makes for, I think, a more complicated scenario. I think you are seeing, for instance, like these West Coast teams in the Big Ten are having a way harder time in basketball than they are in football. You know, I mean, like they're not that they're doing, you know, lights out in football, but it's a 1 week thing where, you know, these like UCLA, USC, Washington, Oregon, all struggling as far as like the way things have gone. But the transfer portal, NIL, and, you know, it is leading to, you know, guys staying longer, you know, that you're having, you know, 4th and 5th year guys, and that's making the quality of play better. And, you know, you're bringing in, you know, these European players that were not coming across, you know, that they were going straight to the draft before or staying in club play. You know, it's worth their while to come to the United States and make some money, you know, and play a year or two of college basketball or 4 years of college basketball. And what that's all doing is it's elevating the talent level, you know, in a different way. And so there's just, you know, like you happen to have in this year a fantastic freshman class. It might not be as good as the next couple of years. This just happens to be a phenomenal one. But you know, you're building out from there with a lot of these guys coming from overseas and a lot of guys that are, you know, sticking around that have had, you know, Braden Smith or something like that that's had a phenomenal career, Trey Kaufman-Renn and Purdue, you know, like and other guys throughout college basketball that have had really good careers that are sticking around, and maybe they played for multiple teams, but, you know, they're elevating somebody. And, you know, like Graham Ike at Gonzaga, I mean, he's been there since, you know, when he was playing for Wyoming, one of the years that I was still covering IU. You know, these guys are, you know, like there's a lot of talent there and there's a lot of experience, and it makes for it makes for, you know, a better game on the court. It's crazier off the court. You know, coaches, I think, are losing their minds, but what they're actually putting out on the floor from November to March is really, really good.
Absolutely. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star. Make sure you're giving him a follow because he is our connoisseur of sports. In addition to being the Pacers beat writer, which while their season may not be going as you'd like for it to see, it kind of is, because it's going to lead into another extraordinary season next year. And we'll get to keep forward looking at that, brother. I appreciate you as always. You are the best. And with that, Dustin says, adios. Buck, we've got more coming up right after these messages from our great and favorite sponsors that we hope that you follow.
Dave & Buster's Bloomington is the place to eat, drink, play, and watch. Enjoy half-price games Sunday through Thursday, plus a new menu and next-level upgrades like private game suites and the high-flying human crane. Only at Dave & Buster's Bloomington on South College Mall Road.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
You're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area? You need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington has the deals for you, like great savings on the remaining 2025 Hondas. First-time buyers get more than expected. The Honda Civic and HR-V are the most popular vehicles for first-time buyers in the U.S. Andy Moore Honda Bloomington also has a quality selection of pre-certified used vehicles. And check out the selection of Andy Moore Honda Bloomington's 2026 models, like the Honda Passport, Honda CR-V Hybrid, Honda Ridgeline, and more. ISB Radio with Jim Coyle is brought to you exclusively on The Zone by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Bored, Bloomington? Dave and Buster's can fix that. Eat and drink your way through our new menu. Play half-price games every Sunday through Thursday. Watch your teams on the big screen and level it all up with the high-flying human crane. Private game suites and more, only at 731 South College Ball Road.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Glad to have you along, and more importantly, glad to be with you. Appreciate you. Tomorrow night, Indiana basketball back at it at home in Simon Scott Assembly Hall as they'll take on Northwestern, looking for their 18th win, I think. 17th win, I believe, or 16 wins on the season so far. So Indiana looking to get back on the winning side of things, as that is expected. They should have little problem with that. Just got to get playing. And this is the time for them to get stuff going. Get it going, man. You've got to get your guys on the same page right now. You've got 4 regular season games left. 4. You have to be playing your best basketball right now, going into the Big Ten tournament. If you're not, then I don't know, what are you doing? Most of these guys are coming to an end. The season, their careers, their college careers, coming to an end here. This is it. This is it. Make no mistake where you are. So it's up to those guys, and a couple of them, Nick Dorn, got to get him going again, man, for this team to have a shot at doing anything. That is, I think that they're going to make the tournament, but they'd have to have a collapse. They'd have to lose tomorrow night. That would not be anything that anybody wants to see. But, man, a big fun as always today. Appreciate the fish, Don Fischer, as always. Everybody else, Greg Rakestraw, Dustin Dopirak. Most importantly, you, back with everything again tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.